Well, Martha Stewart and Chef Jose Andres may seem like as unlikely a pairing as scallopini with a bolognese sauce, but you wouldn't know it after watching Yes Chef on Peacock. In fact, this new show with Martha and Chef Andres will have you pulling a full-blown Oliver Twist and saying, "Please, sir, I want some more." If you need an additional serving of fun in your life, Yes Chef is available now on Peacock Pro or any other type of Peacock subscription you have. Now here's Amy with more news.
I wish that we got paid for that.
I know. I'm gonna start doing preemptive ads like the I should have done Chili's on our
Yeah.
2 episodes ago, or I kind of tried one. I was winging it, but I'm just gonna do preemptive ads so that we can use those as examples, and then hopefully we'll get paid retroactively for doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We all know I love Martha, and Chef Jose does cool shit. So
And they do seem as unlikely a pairing as scallopini with bolognese sauce, right? Right?
is that what it says?
Well, they gave me. I read some copy on the internet that I was trying to find to see if I could sort of like hodgepodge a bunch of stuff together. But I hope that if anyone is listening to that they will let us, advertise Yes Chef at some point. But the reason why I said that was because we're kind of light on news. You and I. It's kind of like sometimes news when it rains it pours, but then sometimes we'll have absolutely nothing. And this is one of those times where it's Friday. I think you know how Fridays are famously they're called news dump
Yeah.
days, and I think that there's just been absolutely no news for you and I to talk about since from
I
Wednesday's
don't
episode.
even want to know what's going to actually have happened on this day. It's going to be something like horrendous.
Yeah, every time Amy and I say that there's no news on Turtle Time, we basically create news like it just has to happen. But I swear, I'm almost positive there's no news today on Friday. So that's why I had to just start with some fake ad copy for Yes Chef. And then I got something else I wanted to kind of throw your way. This will be old as dust by the time people listen to this on Friday, but I woke up to some lovely news. Basically, like the newspaper, a New York Times newspaper, just landed on my doorstep from a delivery person, and it was a Villa Rosa VIP telling us that check the news. Kyle Chan just was featured in the New York Times on the
Oh, wow.
front page, and I go, "Oh my god!" I said, "Holy shit!" I opened my subscription, and it's a full 1,000-word article on Kyle Chan and his legacy on Vanderpump Rules and Bravo shows. And it's one of those, again, the New York Times kind of just like introducing people, subscribers to readers to this like phenomenon or this interesting thing. For us, we know like almost everything about Kyle Chan. So it's like, it's just kind of telling people like there's this interesting, guy that you should be thinking about, but some huge exclusives, which maybe you know this. I didn't know this. He first got into the Bravo universe because he was at the Pasadena Rose Bowl flea market and he would sell some of his jewelry because he always had a passion for jewelry. And Kyle Richards would shop at the Rose Bowl, the Pasadena Rose Bowl flea market. I forget if that's what it's called. The Pasadena Rose Bowl flea market. And he goes, "I love you so much, Kyle," because he had watched Bravo shows. He goes, "I love you. You can take all of the diamonds and jewelry you want for free. It would be an honor." And Kyle goes, "No, I always pay for everything." So she paid him, and then she started introducing him to her friends, and it started this organic relationship. And that's how he got into the Bravo universe and how he got onto Vanderpump Rules in the Valley.
Wow, it all comes back to the Queen of Beverly Hills. That's like surprising. I feel like I'm not surprised because I think Kyle is a class act. But 9 times out of 10, when you hear about Bravo celebrities or housewives, they are always trying to get shit for free.
Totally, to the point where Sonia Morgan doesn't even know whether or not she's allowed to get a free meal from Cipriani, and she'll go in and expect the bill not to be paid. So Kyle also says that Miley Cyrus did the same thing. She goes, "No, of course I'll pay for your jewelry. I just love it." And then this was huge. I know you'll like this. He got to craft the big jewel that they wear in that what's her name in La La Land. There's two people in it. Her name is Emma Stone. Stone.
First stone he designed.
He designed the big emerald stone that Emma Stone wears in La La Land, and they also let him, the director loved him so much that the director, I forget what his name is, Damien
Damien
Chazelle,
Chazelle.
let Kyle Chan be in the background of almost every scene of La La Land.
He really must have a way with words because he just like weasels in everywhere. Is there a part of that movie that has to do with jewelry? I don't remember.
It's kind of like a fun Easter egg. I guess Damien Chazelle was just, he loved, this is in the New York Times article, that he loved that big jewel that Emma Stone had on in one of those scenes. And so he let Kyle Chan just sort of be sort of this like presence throughout filming. So I thought that was amazing. I didn't know the La La Land stuff, and I didn't know his Bravo origin. And I do say that do have to say that I only read this article once, sort of very sloppily. So if any of those facts aren't right, it's possible they're not. But anyway, Kyle Chan just, he got a profile in the New York Times as of Tuesday. So that'll be old news, but I thought it was kind of fun to highlight.
Hope he's staying afloat in this down diamond market that he was talking about.
He said he didn't want to end up like a bunch of the other diamond sellers. He knew that were sort of kind of around in the Beverly Grove area. He said he'd see diamond stores shuttered, or he would be like, "Oh, the jewelry market is shit." So he said that he's constantly doing organic marketing. But then he also said they're like, "Are you kind of just always wanting to be in the background of these shows to sort of like make your brand bigger?" And he goes, "No, I love marketing, but also I just love all these people that I've ever met. Tom Sandoval, Brittany." And he's in the scene of, we talked about this, he's at the Valley. They don't even, the Brits take over on the Valley, and they barely even acknowledge it. Kyle Chan just loves going to all of these events.
Wow. I feel like jewelers always have a taste for the limelight. Like, there's Neil Lane on The Bachelor. He's like on camera every chance he gets. There's like Jacob the jeweler, Lorraine Schwartz. Like, I'm like, why do I know these people's names?
Oh, right, yeah, and not even. And Nick Lane isn't a jeweler at all, but I know him so well, and he kind of crafts glasswork and a bunch of stuff.
His lighting fixtures are like jewelry.
Yeah. They're as precious as any jewelry because of some of the stuff that he comes up with. But yeah, so that was the Kyle Chan, news. But then other than that, you and I were kind of like, I have to say it is a slow Bravo news day on this Friday, June 13th, right? Wait, 11th, 12th, 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Oh my God,
That's
wow.
why.
Whoa, Friday the 13th. Whoa, Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, be careful today on Friday the 13th. That's an unlucky, scary day. But it's not scary at all. I think that this kind of shot to my radar immediately. Queens of Bravo, one of the obviously the best Bravo accounts in the world, who I get all of my news from, you as well. I shared this with you, and now that you're a Miami head, or we're both caught up in the same Miami universe, I sent you this from Queens of Bravo. It was Lisa Hochstein was seen out on the town with Lenny's mom. Wow. And if you have watched Miami, you know that there were some rocky roads with Lenny's mom and Lisa Hochstein, but they are about as good as two people could be. You should see the smiles on their faces in this photo. It looks like there is a kind of a new light at the end of the tunnel for those two, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, his mom keeps flip-flopping. It started out where she didn't like Lisa, was hard on her. Then when Lenny had his mentee B and divorced her, kicked his parents out, then they were okay because she was like, "I can't believe what my son is doing. I'm totally on your side." And then like a week later, she was like, "His new girlfriend is hot. She's better than you. We're moving on without you."
I remember there's no worse text that she sends than when she says, his new girlfriend is really hot, ... Is Lenny's dad is obviously still doing very well, right?
He seemed on the decline like a couple seasons back, and then they kind of just didn't talk about him anymore.
But season 6, they show him sort of he's kind of glowing and radiant again. But so I haven't checked in. So you and I are champing at the bit. Should we just say let's get into Miami talk?
Change the mood.
All right, I think we should officially just start talking about Real Housewives of Miami. Oh, great.
I have been literally earworm for a month since I heard Adriana's song, Miami's Hot Fire,
Hmm.
has been stuck in my head for weeks. And I'm just like, everything I do around the house, I'm like, Miami's Hot Fire.
Oh my god, yeah, and we had the right, or we could have chosen a different song for that transition, but you and I mutually agreed to do the Will Smith Miami song instead
Hopefully,
of
he
that.
doesn't say, keep my song out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah, can I tell you, I was a little worried about playing 30 seconds of Will Smith's Miami. I don't know what the hell he's up to now, and if he would get offended. But maybe we'll. I don't know if this is too much work for us, but maybe we'll end the Miami segment with that hot, hot fire song because I remember that had me kind of dancing my ass off as well.
Yeah.
So that was meant to transition you and I, that song, to get us in the Miami spirit because you and I now officially are caught up. We're in the universe of Miami. You have been burning the candle at both ends, burning the midnight oil, getting your second view of Miami as we approach this. And I watched all of Miami during my wife's the later era of her pregnancy. We binged the shit out of Miami. So I'm like 9 months off from my Miami rewatch. So I'm
Yeah.
probably a little rustier than you, but when I watched season 7, I was like, "Oh, I know the gist of absolutely everything." I remember Lenny's dad. I remember Lenny's mom. I remember Lenny. No, I really, they do such a good job of flashing back and everything. But maybe I'll lean on you, because you have the most recent memory of anyone in the world. So I have to ask you now, after you just got out of that, you were in it. You were ripping through for the last few months. How did you feel about your Miami experience overall?
I loved it. I don't know the last time that I've been able to binge new Housewives because I've always watched them all. And since it was only on Peacock for a while, I just skipped it and I always had the intention of catching back up. And so I got to watch. I had already seen the original first 3 seasons, but I rewatched them and they were like, I hadn't seen them in 10 years. So they felt new again. And then the new seasons were new. And I was like, I haven't gotten to just like slob out and watch a new Housewives show like this in ever. Yeah, ever. I don't think.
Wow. What an experience. I mean, it's so fun. And also, not to be like in ungracious or whatever, but it is so fun to just rip through a Bravo show and not be accountable. Now we're accountable for all of our takes going forward, but it's kind of nice to just binge the shit out of something
Yeah,
like Bethany Ever After
totally.
or Miami and just rip through it and go
Yeah,
nuts.
like
So,
sometimes I would fall asleep and I'll be like, oh well, like I missed 10 minutes. Who cares?
yeah.
Like we'll get
You're
back to it. But
you're like, what did Lenny do now?
the Lenny show. No, but I loved the first 3 because they just exist in their own plane. And I mean, but I would be surprised to learn. I already knew, but like, it's mostly the same chicas,
Oh yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
almost completely.
Oh, it's amazing. The core 3, have lasted the entire run, which is amazing. And I think Miami did a great job of casting. Oh no, core 4. Larsa, it has to be included. She was out for season 2 and season 3, but she counts. She has the gravitas of an OG for sure. And then they did a great job with the new additions, I think. So the new era is just as vibrant and fun as the old era, I think.
Yeah.
There's some amazing moments.
I have to say, it's like it's addicting to watch just their flair for language and the way they
Oh, yeah.
talk that it's kind of turning me into Ilaria. So in our recaps, I'm gonna have to try to not be offensive and start
I know.
going like "ay por favor" like at every turn because
I-
I know that I'm a gringo, but I love it and I think it's very fun. And maybe
Believe
I'll
me.
get an "ay por favor" button and have like Marisol say it.
Oh, that would be so fun. I have access to a bunch of sounds here. We can definitely get one of those rocking anytime you want it. Yeah, please also, if you notice me kind of slipping into that sort of accent, just let me know. Say that is not appropriate. That is not okay. Some things that Adriana says has stuck with me for my entire life, and I won't do any of my Adriana impressions now at all. And then when I was back in season 7, I go, oh my god, this is so fun. The kind of shit that is going on already. I have to ask you. you don't have to be so specific with your rankings at all. You don't have to be like, this is number one, this is number two. But during this run, who brought you the most joy? Who did you get the most joy from? Who were the beacons of shining light? And then who, I don't know, who could you take or leave? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts just on the legacy of the cast?
Yeah. It is hard because they really are a true ensemble. You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of interesting the way they play with the, in this case, mojitos is what they hold instead of a diamond or a peach or whatever. Like Marisol never has one, but she's on it more than anyone.
I know.
And she's at the reunions. So I'm like, what's the deal?
And Adriana.
Yeah.
They're basically full-time cast members, but Miami is able to get away with considering them friend ofs, but then utilize them in every way and give them confessionals. They're at the reunion the entire time, or if I remember correctly, they come out like 5 minutes later
Yeah.
or something. I think it's either a pay, like a pay rate thing, or Megan always says that Adriana and Marisol don't want to share certain aspects of their home life, and that's why Marisol and Adriana, we never peek in, like we don't know what the hell happened post Frederick with Adriana. Marisol doesn't want to show her life with her husband, so maybe they kind of just get to have their cake and eat it too, and Bravo doesn't delve into those aspects of their life, but they get to just play in the arena with all the other cast members, and maybe they get a slightly less lucrative deal because of that.
Right. Yeah, I'm surprised that Adriana wouldn't fight tooth and nail to be front and center, because every chance she gets, she, like, at every reunion, she has like 40 props. She's doing a poem, she's doing a letter, like so I'm like, I think you want to be here full time.
She definitely does. I really, I think I even looked this up because it was beguiling to me there's no other franchise that functions like this.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they're not full time, but I think it has to do with either they're not willing to share 100%, or it's just financially more feasible for Bravo and they're fine with the friend of rate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I like that they've worked it out to where, as a viewer, all we have to deal with is the fact that they're not in the intro and they're not in the
Right.
cast photos, which is a little odd. But for the most part, you get the full spirit of them, the entire seasons.
Yeah, I'm hoping that means that we get some more Nicole this season, because for a while I was like, oh, like she's like the normal person, like she's kind of just a good, steady, level-headed person to be in the mix. And then as I got to the end of season 6 and she was like pregnant at the reunion and I started to realize she wouldn't join us again, I was like, actually, I really liked her presence. Like there was something calming about having a normal person in the group who also is a medical expert.
Yeah,
I liked.
Yeah, she was okay in my opinion, but I also could take or leave Dr. Nicole. I wasn't too surprised that they made that decision. But I think you're right. Having some sort of balance is good. But I think that I don't know. They decided to make they made the decision that maybe it's just not right to keep Dr. Nicole. I gotta say, my favorite moment, you just referenced it. I think top 5 favorite moment of all time is Adriana reading that letter of Marisol saying, help, help, I'm trapped in Marisol, I can't get out, she hurts me, she abuses me, she treats me like absolute shit. And Andy's going, oh my God, who wrote this letter? She's going to kill me with the way she treats me. And Andy and everyone's going, oh my God, who wrote this letter? And then she goes, signed Marisol's liver. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Nuts.
She's my favorite cast members. I'll just say it. I have a definitive
you're
ranking.
A ranker.
I am a total ranker. Adriana has brought me the most joy. Absolutely, she is so integral to the cast. Everything she's ever done is iconic. She did one of the worst things in Miami history: her lying to Leah about her marriage and then treating Leah like shit about it. Is one of the most awful things I've ever seen someone do. She was so in the wrong, and then made Leah look like she was crazy or mean for not acknowledging it. But I love Adriana so much. She's brought me so much joy. Lisa Hochstein, number 2 with a bullet. Love her. And then Larsa's my number 3.
My God, you strike again.
Larsa
You
is
love a problematic woman.
I mean, you'll have to refresh me, and when we get a bunch of comments saying, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'll remember, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that was so bad. That was so bad." But as I just came back in with my new eyes, and remembering, I only go off the feelings I have, the warmth I have when cast members come up, back into the forefront. Those are the three that brought me the most joy. I think Larsa is so funny. I think Adriana is so funny, and then Lisa Hochstein might be the quintessential perfect
Yeah.
housewife in my opinion in every way. Like I'm so proud of her all the time, and I know she's done awful shit and probably not the best. I don't know, there's tons of stuff wrong with her, but overall I've really been so amazed at Lisa and every decision she makes. She's like one of the most unique personalities I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, she's sort of odd. Like I almost like can't put my finger down on what her deal is still after all these years. Like she's strange.
I love how confident she is. Like you would think, like I don't know, she doesn't fit into any like prior dynamic that I've ever seen before. She's so unique. I think she's very funny. I think she's obviously essential to this cast. She's the entire focus of season 7, episode 1 is about the Larsa. That's the most engaging thing by far of this premiere is the Larsa versus Lisa. And then I have to say, Alexia and Marisol. I found Marisol to become extremely one note over the 6 seasons. I don't trust Marisol at all, especially with the Leah stuff early. I thought that Marisol was completely in the wrong. I thought it was despicable when she used her mom as leverage to make people feel bad when Elsa was really sick. She was treating people like trying to accuse people of not treating her mom well, and everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? I've texted your mom, I've given her flowers. So Marisol and Alexia I get a lot less joy from, but I completely understand how integral they are to this cast. Just they're not for two mojito holders that seem like they're the embodiment of the franchise. They're on the lower end for my enjoyment of this franchise.
I'm a little over the whole like cockies thing and like her like bedazzled cup. I'm like, all right, like you love drinking. I
was
it.
I was over the minute that became her persona when the new era started, and I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember you as this big drinker. I don't even believe it. I think it's water and ice cubes and maybe a Stiegel Radler or something in there. I've always thought that she's just putting on a fake persona a little bit. And
Although
Elsa,
I do remember that when those two frickin' frack, the Cuban frickin' frack, were on Girls Trip, they were the ones bullying Leah McSweeney to drink.
they were. Oh my god!
Like they were like, time for cockies.
Oh my god! Well, I can't even imagine how many times Marisol was offering alcohol to Leah McSweeney if that's her thing. I think that Marisol really got the biggest boost of the century by having Elsa, one of the most the most entertaining people that has ever existed in the universe, as her mom, and she gets infinite connection to her mom, and that kind of pushed her through the Miami universe for a really long time.
I'll say also like Alexia herself is fine, but I need Frankie to remain in my POV at all times. So I need those updates annually. So I love him, and I think that storyline is like really roots the show. And then like Gertie's cancer journey also was like pretty intense and grounding, and it was Larsa, by way of the way she responded to that, was just like another thing where I was like, what's going on in that head of hers? Like she's almost like, it's like she's like zanned out. Like I'm like, hello, are you alive?
I think yes, for sure. I think that there's a lot of behind the scenes production like issues that go on, and there's a lot of like fourth wall breaking on Miami. And I remember thinking that I believed Larsa that she wasn't exactly sure what she was supposed to do with that information, and if Gertie was only telling her for the first time. I mean, I haven't watched it in a little bit, but I just remember being fully 100% on Larsa's side and loving her to death for how she handled that scene.
She told like 8 people, like at a party,
Yeah,
people that didn't even know Gertie.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You're probably right. I just I remember thinking that Larsa, I believed whatever excuse she gave. But I will say for Alexia, I have to give Alexia credit. I do. I think she is like the stable force and the grounding force, and I love her family life.
Mhm.
Obviously, her dynamic with Frankie is one of the most beautiful things ever.
Yeah.
Frankie is so fun, and then also the Peter shit
Yeah.
is compelling because she's got a bad boy there,
Yeah.
bad boy for
I
about 10
know.
years. One of those OC bad boys
Yeah.
from RHOC early years. It's like, whoa, we got a
I
bad boy
know.
here. And my favorite scene, I think, probably in Bravo history, top 3 or 4, is when Todd takes Peter to task in front of his mom. That if I remember correctly, it's like a 15-minute scene of him just talking about what a bad big brother Peter is being to Frankie, and Alexia is sitting there, and she loves her kids so much that she's almost too permissive, and Todd's like, this is fucked up what's going on here. That was one of my I've never seen a scene like that in my life. You couldn't write it. It's like perfect, so
Yeah.
complicated.
He says, he's like, you guys haven't done shit for Frankie. He sits around all day and, like, I would never allow for that. And she goes, well, why don't you help us? Because we've been like getting him off the ground for like 10 years, like when he like couldn't talk or walk. And he goes, he's not my son. I was like,
Yeah, well, no, I mean, but yes, I fully, at that point, I fully respected everything that he had to say. I mean, I know that sounds very callous, but I don't know the inner workings of that relationship, and I think that he sees a lot of stuff that we didn't see as the audience of how Peter treats Frankie. I mean, he alludes to a bunch of the shit
well, he
that Peter
hotboxed
does.
him.
Yeah, I total gave him a full blown bong rip in a car. He said, "Roll up the windows, Frankie. Let's hotbox the shit out of this thing."
Todd can't be trusted, though. He, as we will learn in this episode, he flew by night in front of Frankie, leaving poor Frankie behind, not knowing where he was going.
I need more information.
Why do you trust Todd?
Well, I don't remember one bad thing about Todd. Remind me of Todd's errors. What did Todd do?
I didn't like that conversation.
Oh man, I thought it was the most honest honest conversation I think I've ever seen in my life. I really
Although
think
I do
that
think Peter's a piece of shit also, so I don't really know who to side with.
you
but
have no idea, probably. We have no idea what the hell he has to deal with Peter, and that brings me to this season. I need to know. I mean, Todd will never get to just have a confessional and tell his side of things, but I need a lot more information. I mean,
Well, I think he's a scammer too. Like I think that there's like way money issues going on.
Well, I don't know about that. You let me know. Do I forget everything bad? I looked at Todd, and when I saw him, and I said, I missed that person, Todd. I like him. I like his relationship with Lexi. I love how he handles himself in that scene. I think it was almost too harsh for reality television. It was like we were watching a docu-series on how to deal with problematic children and moms who love them too much. I think like he was giving that what's that called, bitter medicine.
Yeah. I also thought that his apology to Nicole's husband was really weird. It was like a 7-minute Instagram video that he posted publicly.
Oh, I loved it.
But it's weird. Like,
I
it's
loved
a
it.
weird way to behave.
You just reminded me of that. I had no idea, and I felt so bad for him. I felt like he took. You just reminded me. This is so crazy. I wouldn't have remembered that for a second. Now I have all of my feelings that I felt 9 months ago when I watched this. I thought that he was putting his heart on his sleeve, saying everything that went into whatever that bad tweet or bad text that he sent, and I felt like he got so shamed and embarrassed, and everybody was treating him like a loser and a coward that he didn't even appear on season 6 because of the backlash. And I thought it was just a heartfelt, beautiful message he was sending to who was that to? Because that's
Nicole's husband.
yeah, Nicole's husband. I liked it, and then everybody made fun of him and embarrassed him for. He shouldn't have posted it. It shouldn't have gone publicly. But I just felt like it was a miscalculation strategy-wise for Todd. But I thought, just here's what I'll say. I agree with you completely that I could be so wrong. But if there are any Todd, what's his last name? Todd heads.
Yeah.
If there are any Todd
You're
heads
like,
out there.
give me the Todd and Lenny show.
Todd and Lenny going out on the town? Is that going to be next week on Miami? No.
The Blindside Brothers.
The Blindside Brothers. I have a lot of questions. Maybe we should. Okay. So I just said 2 stray top moments. I don't know if you have any at hand, but was there anything while you were watching that you were just like, this kind of blew me away? You did mention one. We talked about this, but we're kind of teeing up for hopefully on a Turtle Time trip.
Yeah.
I think Mexico City season 6
Yeah.
Miami trip is like one of the best trips I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life.
I just watched it this weekend, and when they go to that like dead doll island, which apparently I think is like a well-known like,
Yeah.
TripAdvisor hotspot. Like it wasn't some like crazy setup for for them to take
Yeah.
them there. It's like pretty commonplace. But when at one point they're there, Gertie's barfing in a bucket.
Yeah.
Julia's like screaming, crying, looking at the baby dolls. A mariachi band floats by on a different boat. There's another boat with like a dog barking on it. And I was just like, this is like the funniest shit I've seen in 10 years. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen a goofy housewife moment like this in so long that actually just shocked me in its organic ridiculousness that I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly how I felt. Yeah, and that's a current trip that just happened. Like
Yeah, it's
for
like
it
the
to be
most
this
recent one.
So Miami is ripping. It's amazing. And yeah, so someday I hope we get to do a Turtle Time trip and celebrate that together. That'd be so fun and a way to talk about Miami even more. My last favorite moment, I'll say, that I've kind of was alluding to on a couple Turtle Times, but I didn't want to spoil it because I didn't know how to segue properly. But my fourth favorite moment in all of Miami history is when Julia sings her opera to Martina, and it goes off perfectly. Martina is like so happy that this opera singing event happens.
She falls in love all over again, and it like sounds like absolute shit. It's so funny.
Oh my god! No, I don't remember how bad it sounded at all, but I was taken away. I felt like I had been taken to heaven with Julia singing just because of Martina's reaction to Julia doing all of that work for her. It was like the best
With
gift.
Adriana on the piano. It
Yes.
was like so absurd. And then like Andy said at the reunion
Yes.
that was one of his favorite moments of all time. And then they ended the reunion with her doing like a disco rendition of Ave Maria. And it was like the best thing I've ever seen. Like I was like, this is what I'm talking about.
So good. Yeah, so that is by far my favorite Julia moment in history. It kind of won me over on Julia forever. I was like,
Yeah.
you can do that. Like that is amazing. And Julia's pretty good in this season premiere.
It always kind of surprises me that they've kept her the whole time because she's just kind of odd.
Me too.
But I like it. It's like a quirky energy that I can't really compare to anyone else.
Yeah, no other. I can't think of another sort of comp for that. She's a unique archetype, just kind of like Lisa Hochstein is as well. I also kind of thought that she would get the boot after season 4. I was like, what's going on with Julia? But she's really, I've warmed up to her. And if you're responsible for one of the most iconic moments in Bravo history, you get to stay a couple more seasons, no matter
and
what.
we need Martina. Like, I think it's funny. Like, I think to a certain group of people or certain generation, like Martina is like so iconic. Like, I think to Andy, that's like a huge get, whereas like someone under, I don't know, 35 is like, I don't even know who that is.
It's true. Martina's kind of fun in this one too.
I love her.
Any thoughts of just overall or anything you wanted to say before we start talking about this? If anything comes up, probably while we're talking, we can just go into it. But anything else?
I guess I'm just gonna have to recalibrate because it's hard for me to tell if this show is a little different or if it's just that I was watching it differently in the binge, but it feels like the drama most of the time is a little bit inconsequential, or it like flips. It gets resolved, quote, resolved like pretty quickly. Like the grudges don't last that long or something. Like it's like everyone's just kind of like, all right, fine. Like we'll move on. Although as of the last season, it felt like by the season 6 reunion, Adriana was like, had no allies.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what her deal is going to be now.
Adriana, unfortunately, as much as I love her, love every aspect of her, I think that she does use this show strategically in a way where I kind of can see the strings on a lot of the stuff she does, and her going, ruining her relationships with Marisol and Alexia. I can just see that it's like, well, what else can I do? I want to last for multiple seasons. I just have to start feuds with everyone on the show whenever I can because it's fodder for this. And I feel like Adriana has already like ruined so many relationships in the past that she kind of just is fine using this show as a place for her to like hold grudges or start new feuds. And even though you can see the inner workings of it, I still 80% of the time I just enjoy her presence because I think she's fun and funny, and she's great in this premiere. I was like so happy again.
For instance, when she compares her rolled ankle to Frankie's accident in the Bahamas.
You just blew my mind with a memory that I didn't even know I had. It's like, oh my god.
She goes, I could have lost my foot, and they're like, no, like you were barely bruised. And she goes, but it could have been much worse. And they're like, but it wasn't. And she goes, accidents happen. It could have been bad. And she goes, Alexia, you know about accidents like with Frankie. And I'm like, that's actually the worst instance of usually on Housewives when people evoke someone's child within an example. I'm like, all right, move on. But that was one where I'm like, why would you touch that with a 10-foot pole? Like her son who got brain damage as a teenager, you're going to bring that up right now? Like, and then she sort of went almost like Scary Island-esque. Like she sort of got confused about what had happened, and it was really weird. She's like, and then it leads to her, that event didn't, but like she clearly was in a bad space. She ends up getting ketamine therapy on camera. So she's obviously having a journey, but
yes. She's definitely made some mistakes. Like you just mentioned one big one, but
and I never foresaw that her music career was going to be validated by like Emilio Estevon. Like I was like, this is like a real thing.
Oh, fucking awesome. Oh my god, she's like a star in that booth when she's making that song. I love that so much. So let's get into it, and anything that brought you joy throughout the run, or me too. We'll talk about the whole history of Miami while we talk about this. But we're talking about season 7, episode 1. I wanted this episode to be called Lisa Land because Larsa tries to get that off, I think, 3 times in this episode. And I go, that's a great title, Lisa Land.
Yeah,
I love it. But I think they say something like, what's the title? Like Back in Action?
Yeah, like Miami Back in Action or something. Maybe we could say Amy and Riley fly to Lisa Land or something like that.
Oh, I love that. Nobody will be confused about how we title our Turtle Time trips like that. I think it'll be perfect. Amy and Riley go to Lisa Land. I like that. Okay. We start out, and they're telling us the biggest news that has happened in the Miami universe, and that is Todd and Alexia. You last saw them. They were on a yacht. They were saying beautiful things. Alexia put a big cake in Todd's face. These beautiful vows. And then 2 years later, Todd files for divorce.
Yes. It does appear. So at first I was very like off kilter about the way this episode started because I was like, all right, is it going to do, because I've been kind of ignoring the real time news because I haven't been watching the show. So I knew about the Lenny stuff. I knew about the Todd stuff, but I never fully engaged with it because I was like, I want to watch the show and just watch it there. So when this happened, I was like, are we going to get a 6 months earlier, or like I was like, where is this timeline going to go, because it was unfolding so fast that I was like, obviously there's going to be a time jump of some kind. And it turns out it looks like they picked up cameras post season 6 but pre season 7 to cover the Todd stuff.
3 months after the season 6 reunion, and then they don't do anything, and then 5 months later they start filming for the season. But it seems like they spent a week letting Alexia tell everyone in the group and every different iteration of them the news. We get like an all cast event where she tells the news. We get an event where she just gets comforted by Marisol, and it is like very quick. I was like, oh my god, we are really getting into this.
Todd pulled a Jax where he had sex with her the night before he left.
Yes. She says he took her out to dinner. They got drinks. Then they made love when they got home. And I think Todd said, "You're the best lover I've ever had." And that was one of the best dinners I've ever had. And then the next
and then he's like, aren't you leaving? Don't you have an appointment? Can you leave? Can you go? She's like, oh, like, I'm not ready yet. And he's like, you should just leave because secretly I want to pack all my shit up and leave.
He goes, can you leave, please, for about 7 or 8 hours, please? Did you have some appointment you were going to go to? And then, unfortunately, this is the news that breaks everybody's heart is that he did it in front of Frankie, which you already mentioned. So Frankie's sitting there and he's going, "Why is Todd and his daughter moving out?" And Alexia is so really really upset in this era, obviously as she should be, but like she is really reeling
Yeah.
from this divorce in every way. Julia does say this. We can talk about this, but Julia goes, "Oh, Todd, yeah, I don't know about him. Was he kind to Frankie and Peter?" And then they show the clip of the one time he was really, quote unquote, unkind to them. And I was like, I don't know. I remember him being a pretty good stepdad to them. They only showed one scene of when he berated Peter for how he and then treated Frankie, and then Alexia says no, he wasn't. He wasn't good to them. So she agrees with Julia that he didn't treat them kindly. So that adds more, I guess, evidence towards your theory, which is that Todd was like not the best stepdad.
Right. Okay, then we get a little surprise phone call where you're like, oh, who's she calling? Marisol or someone like that? No, the lower third, Teresa Giudice.
Yeah, that's a dynamic duo. Them talking to each other on the phone.
Oh my God, I can see them both in that jumpsuit that they all wear, that like Mugler jumpsuit. I think they did it on Drunk Drawn, that like every single, like multiple housewives per city have worn it, either on Watch What Happens Live, in a confessional. It's like a cutout bodysuit. It looks like a superhero bodysuit. I'm picturing them both. They kind of dress the same.
Oh, I
They
can.
kind of look like sisters in a way.
I know that's what I like seeing them in a room. It's like a combo that I never thought in the world I'd ever see, but they make so much sense together. I mean, they're very similar. I had never thought about it. Teresa says some great stuff on the phone. She goes, "Wow." She goes, "Oh my gosh, you can be sad if you want." Because Alexia goes, "Yeah, I'm really really sad. Obviously, I just got a divorce," and she goes, "You can be sad." And then Teresa goes, "Wow, oh my God," and then that's it.
So let's see, how long ago was this at this point? It was like a year ago and a couple months.
Yeah, yeah, but should we say now, or is it a spoiler? It's not a spoiler to say that all of this stuff is kind of undercut, which we find out in just a couple scenes. But this whole emotion is undercut when you Google Todd's name, and every single photo is him in Japan with
Yeah.
Alexia holding hands in Japan, or when he went to that Hawaii trip and they're kind of like kissing in the ocean. So at this point you're kind of like, as a viewer, if you've been keeping up, you're like, wait, what the hell is going on? Because it seems like they're possibly back together. And then that's when we
Right.
learn, 5 months later, that what the hell is going on between them.
Right. So just to confirm for everyone, because I paused to check, the official mojito holders are Julia, Gertie, Alexia, Larsa, and Lisa.
Julia, Gertie, Alexia, Larsa. Is Larsa a mojito? And Lisa. And then that is Adriana and Marisol are keeping their friend of titles, I
Yeah.
guess. It's kind of shameful when you think about it that they can't hold
And
mojitos in the
Kiki.
background. And Kiki is amazing too. It's like, I don't know. There's something going on there that I don't fully
Yeah.
understand.
I didn't know shit about Kiki until I started watching. I was like, I haven't heard about her at all.
Yeah,
Like
no.
out in the world.
No, I know. She's kind of a full-blown surprise, and she's amazing, and she's so
But
great
she's
in
on
this
like
episode
every
too.
single episode.
Yeah, she's an iconic friend of, and she doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
5 months later, is that where you want to go to? 5 months
Yes.
in the future, Marisol and Alexia are getting drinks, and it's kind of a classic Miami restaurant when you look at it. Did you see like the tiling on this place? Like
Ooh.
green, palm trees in there. I was like, oh my God, I kind of miss that Miami energy. It looks very singular,
They
Miami.
love a rooftop.
The aesthetic of Miami is very beautiful, and it instantly makes everything seem a little bit more fun. Like when they order margaritas in that type of environment. I think I'm so used to just all the other franchises that don't look as like characteristic and beautiful, but Miami was really. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
I like this kind of stuff.
the season, I think it was the season 6 reunion, Andy said every time he watches the show, he wants to jump into the screen.
Really?
Yes.
He said that every time he watches this. He
Because
probably
he
in a
loves
way
Miami.
he in a way probably could. He could probably. I mean, he could pop in any of these events that he wanted. It'd be kind of fun if he was in the background of some of these events. But then they go. Marisol and Alexia say, "Let's talk shit about Lisa first before she gets here." What about this news that Lenny is splitting up with his wonderful fiance? I forget her name.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest headline news in Miami, in addition to what Alexia went through. And they're worried that Lisa might get that itch that you get when your ex is on the loose and they're free again. And that they think that she might drop everything and get back with Lenny. And they go, I hope that she doesn't do that. And I was thinking, I don't think that that's at all a possibility in any world.
I know. I thought that too. I was like, what do you mean? And then I have to say, Lisa sort of got my ass.
She did.
Was a good prankster. Because then when she joins, they're like, you better not get back with Lenny, I swear to God. And she goes, he has been asking me to get back with him. And they're like, obviously not. You can't do that. No way. After what he did to you. And she goes, I love Jody, but I have kids to think about. And I was like, what?
She got me too. I was screaming. I go, no way. Is it really possible that Lisa and Lenny could come back together? And then she goes, I can't do this anymore. I'm just kidding. And like Alexia and Marisol were stunned. It was such a fun joke. It was great. She totally got them. And then Lisa says, I'd rather show a horrible photo of myself on the internet than ever get back with Lenny. And if you know Lisa, her showing a horrible photo of herself would be, so bad that's how she feels about Lenny.
Yes. I also noticed, I mean, I guess this is always true, but there were a lot of, I guess because of the timeline of when things happened, there were a lot of like headlines that they would show, like Daily Mail and stuff. And so one of them was that when Marisol was calling out Alexia for still hanging out with Todd, it was like a headline saying like PDA packed getaway amid divorce. And she's like, what can I tell you? Like, we can't really stay apart. And Marisol says, sometimes what's right for the whole isn't right for the soul.
Yes. So they're upset in a way. They're hurt for Alexia that she would ever consider going back with Todd. But I have to say, Alexia has almost cartoonish heart eyes at this point for Todd, to a degree to which I was stunned, because that made me have to know more about the intricacies of what truly went on, because the hashtag blindside and leaving Frankie standing in the doorway looking, going, where's Todd going? That painted a horrible, horrible picture. And then apparently 3 months or 2 months after they picked up cameras, he said, I can't be without you. I love you so much. I wish I wouldn't have gotten a divorce. It's like, but how? You did all of the work of getting a divorce. You actually filed. You moved out, and then you realized, I want to be back with you. I miss you so much. Let's go to Japan. Right. So there's not a reliable narrator yet that's fully pieced together this story for it to make sense. And Alexia is almost so head over heels that she won't say one bad word about Todd, and refers to herself as not single the rest of the episode, and still is viewing herself as married in a relationship with Todd.
Yeah. She does at one point in her conversation with Larsa later, she calls him a coward. She's like, I can't take that away. Like what he did was a bitch move, basically. But yeah, it's strange. And she has a horrible history, of course. Her ex-husband went to prison and left her with her sons alone. And then her second husband, who seemed like a nice guy, but was low-key on the down low, fucking a man during their marriage. So she seems to be missing something on how she's judging these dudes.
Yeah, well, but let's give her credit. There's definitely something right going on with her wanting to be, back with Todd. He's an amazing stepfather and a really great guy.
He's the dad who stepped up.
He's the dad who stepped up, and he's, let me get all the hate. Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. If you hate Todd, just let me know. Say
Hashtag hate Todd. Hashtag love Todd.
Yeah, that's a very easy and nice one. I just remember loving him, so I'm happy. But then I'm like, here's where I'll get suspicious of Todd. I don't like that these timelines almost coincide with filming in a way where he divorced the minute after the season 6 reunion, and then when they picked up cameras, he might have gotten a flutter of like, whoa, what's going on over there? And then it's just in time for this reconciliation when season 7 picks up. I don't love that. I'd need to hear his side of things for why those decisions seem to coincide with the off season of Miami. I don't love that.
Adriana, I know that she stirs up a lot of BS that isn't necessarily worthwhile, but one of the things that she tried to bring up last season was that there was a potential financial turmoil with Todd, and it was a huge red flag that they had something like 15 days to move out. Like, it was a $40,000 a month like penthouse apartment, and they were like, we're selling it, get out. Like,
yeah,
what? There's more information needed, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was some weird shady element here.
Yeah, but of the cardinal Bravo sins, that's like thou shalt not have envy or something. That's so low on the cardinal sin list, is just inflating your worth, you know?
Yeah.
If I even believe Adriana, but like, do I think that it's possible that Todd rented a Rolls Royce and started driving around because he wanted to appear more wealthy and had his wedding on a yacht to appear like a power player? Could be, but I don't, that doesn't make me completely discount someone's character. I mean, that's I've seen that probably 1,000 times.
Yeah, I'm always very prepared to have someone be indicted for financial crimes. So I'm just saying I could very much see him going down that road, especially
Todd,
if she's BFF with Teresa.
Oh, yeah. Well, Todd, let us know. When, you have commented before on YouTube. Let us know, what's going on with your finances? Are you going to possibly have some financial crimes that get you into trouble? I would love to know from your number one Todd fan.
His video to the other husband kind of reminded me of Louis' summer camp for men, and I'm like, maybe that's where they met.
Oh, I can't even think of Louis and Todd in the same.
He's Italian, isn't he?
I can't even imagine them.
Todd would never.
Oh, boys, people are going to start sending me Todd lowlights pretty soon. I'm going to get barraged with people saying, this is the Todd that you like, that you don't think could be like Louis. You're right. It was obviously a heartfelt confessional to camera. If I remember correctly, Todd did have a bunch of shirtless men behind him. So that made it sort of like Louis' thing. But I don't compare that. I don't think that they're even close, in my opinion, in terms of the character flaws. I think Louis is one of my least. I think he's one of the scariest Bravo men in history, and I think Todd is one of the best Bravo men in history. So they're completely different for me personally.
Okay. More to come.
Then they go, let's keep talking about stuff, which I thought was good for the scene. They said, what's going on? Now this, at first I was like, this doesn't sound like that great of conflict, but then it becomes a lot better. They go, what happened, Lisa, with you and Larsa? Because Larsa is having the worst time of her life with Marcus Jordan. Marcus has been doing, I'm going to say it, snorting coke, or allegedly, and also
powdered substance,
white powder, and he's been partying his ass off. Him and Larsa are no longer together, and he's been treating Larsa like absolute shit, according to her, allegedly, sending threatening text messages, talking to her friends about her. She had to block him. He writes mean stuff on social media, like, I'll take her back to where she came from. And she goes, and then Alexia and Marisol are defending Larsa here. They go, this is kind of awful of you. Jody went to a dinner with Marcus. Marcus goes, look at all my friends. Look who loves me. I'm going to post this on Instagram. Jody's in it.
Yeah.
And then Jody reposted it of Marcus. And Larsa goes, what the fuck? Where is the loyalty here? We'll get into this, but this is basically what the conflict is. Larsa goes, what the fuck? I'm being threatened by this person. We had a horrible breakup, and Jody and you are basically going to dinner with him. And Alexia and Marisol are firmly on Larsa's side. And Lisa goes, I didn't know that they were going to be there. I can't control Jody. He loves Marcus so
Yeah.
much. I didn't have anything to do with him, but this is not my problem. And Larsa sent me mean text messages about this, and I'm kind of pissed at Larsa's energy over this thing. So kind of a classic perfect feud right at the top where both think they're in the right.
Yeah, they haven't really had to face off in my memory because they always kind of defended each other. Larsa texted her at one point, like, all right, fine, that's cool. I'm gonna be friends with Lenny and his girlfriend because all my friends love her, so that's what I'll do. And Lisa gets pissed off about that. Alexi is like, you shouldn't even be following Marcus on Instagram. You need to unfollow him right away. So yeah, more to come on that. I'm a little bit like, it's hard for, I'm like, if Jody was actually straight up friends with Marcus, which it sounds like they were in like a man group together, it is kind of like, well, like they were friends separate from me, even
Yeah.
though that they met through you.
Yeah, I ended up was totally siding with Lisa because I love her and I think she's perfect. But so I was siding with her, but then actually when you see how badly Marcus is treating Larsa, and then you find out, I'll just say it now because it's kind of the overall arc of this episode, is that with Larsa like went on trial, or not went on trial, but went on the witness stand, testified for in Lisa's defense against Lenny for some shit that she witnessed. She's like, that's how much loyalty I had to you, had to you during your breakup, and you can't even stop Jody from getting in Instagram stories with Marcus. And then when you see how hurt Larsa is over the entire thing, and how much I think Larsa values Lisa's friendship more than Lisa values hers, I understood where Larsa was coming from. But at the very start of this, I said, this isn't the best conflict. I hope there's better stuff. But it actually got more, it got deeper as it went on. And I started to really find it compelling.
Yeah, it's almost like it seems like Lisa's afraid to rock the boat with Jody, and I'm like, he seems like a pretty like agreeable guy from what I can tell, but there's a little I don't know, they're starting to make us question.
Oh my God, I am so excited to talk about that. Let's not spoil it. That was one of my favorite moments of the entire episode. Okay, and then lastly, unless there's something else you want to say, but I have to say this to segue. Lisa goes, it's Jody's birthday. He's turning 34, and we are going to have a big, huge happy birthday Jody party, and I want it to be 1930s old Hollywood. Buster Keaton, Rita Hayworth, Doris Day. I want you all dressed like old Hollywood. And that made me kind of chuckle to myself because you and I just got done recapping an iconic old Hollywood party on Patreon. Not to promote Patreon. I know Little Turtle Cuties, you don't want to pay for it. But we just got done recapping an old Hollywood party on Vanderpump Rules. So I couldn't believe that, what are the odds that we'd be recapping the exact same thing on two different franchises, at the same time.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun for me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Did you, when you said that age, I didn't know what to do because I can't tell how old he is. I can't tell what his deal is. I'm like, who is this man? The fact that she started dating him so quickly after her breakup, I'm like, where did she find him? Like, what is their relationship? Like, it's all very strange.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going off my deep inner, just emotions when I think about Jody, and what I remember was that I liked him fine. He seems kind of quiet. I thought he was kind of a good fit for Lisa. Definitely. Well, I don't know. He's kind of like Lenny in a way, quiet or whatever. Lenny, ended up going off the rails. But I enjoyed Jody. I think I got maybe more. I got to know him a little more in this episode, especially when he goes to go get a big blast of AC in his bedroom. But other than that, and I was wrong about his age. He's 37.
He's 29.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we are going to Julia and Martina's house, right? Unless there's anything you wanted to say about that.
It's revealed that they are adopting a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old boy, two of them. So they're baby proofing their house. The drama that they're showing around this with Gertie, I'm a little confused by. Like, I need more information. It sounds like she's pissed off that Gertie was unable to join a Zoom in which she announced it to the housewives, that Gertie had trouble joining and then had to leave and missed it. And I don't get why she's so pissed off about this unless I'm missing something.
No, you're not. It's really bad. Lisa versus Larsa becomes like a 7 out of 10 for me, like conflict wise or entertainment wise. This was like a 1 out of 10. It makes no sense. It's really dumb. It's not anything that should be in the premiere of Miami. They both are aggrieved, but I really don't understand Julia. I understand Gertie more. She's like,
Yeah.
I tried to hop on. Can I get a new link? I don't know how to work Zoom. Like that kind of the technical difficulties aspect of it made more sense to me. And Julia was like, Gertie came on, then she fell off the Zoom, and then she goes, "Can I please? I don't know how to get back on. Do I need a meeting ID?" And Julia goes, "Don't worry, you'll read about it in the press. I can't deal with that right now." So I'm totally on Gertie's side in this.
Meanwhile, Lisa's square was just her like photo of her in a bikini. Like she wasn't on the call.
So iconic when I looked over at everyone seeing who was on this Zoom and I saw my favorite cast member Lisa, just the background of her in a bikini that she wasn't allowing video at the time. I thought that was absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I know this was awful, and then Julia's like, well, now I hate Gertie.
Yeah, like what? And Martina's a bitch to her too. I'm like, you've soiled her relationship with Martina.
Martina got it secondhand, and she just
Yeah.
had to assume that Julia knew what she was talking about. And then Julia says, Gertie sent me a cold message back, like, because Julia probably said, "Don't worry about the Zoom. You'll read about it in 2 days or something." And Gertie was like, "Okay, congrats." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the appropriate message when you can't get back on a Zoom and you find out that you have to hear what the news is in 2 days." So Julia, I said that actually she had a good start, but I was wrong. I was really bummed out that she made this a storyline. She should not be writing off Gertie in any way for this Zoom
Yeah.
trouble.
For sure. Okay. I think we can skip Lisa and Jody. They have a moment planning the party. You you want to do that?
No, let's skip forward. No, let's skip. But I did like I like getting a little peek at Lisa's children again.
Yeah.
And I love when they give the moment of so Lisa's like, "What do you want, Jody, for breakfast? Do you want a big bacon and eggs?" He goes, "Just eggs, darling." And then he goes, "Can I please have a birthday that has all of my friends at it and only a few of the housewives on Miami?" And she goes, "We'll see." And then then later his party is just a complete cast party with none of his friends. And then I did like the moment where they show Logan, Lisa's son. I didn't remember this, but I love when they show a clip of him. It's like supposed to be how wild the kids are, and they show this clip where he goes, "I have a speech. I'm British." And Jody goes, "That's the worst speech I've ever heard in my life." I go, "Wow, what a funny, stray moment from Logan.
Yeah.
One of the
I
best moments I've ever seen."
Watched an episode where he was even younger and he goes to the bank with his he has like a special little piggy bank with a code on it, and he brings his cash in to deposit and get his first bank account. It was cute.
Oh my God! Don't tell us that Logan is canceled, please, because I absolutely love him and think he's one of the coolest Bravo children. Okay, Larsa with her mom. I think I can skimp over this unless you want to dive in.
Just to reiterate that this is like the most upset I've ever seen her, because she was always sort of like aloof as I've seen so far. Like she was always bragging historically about how amazing her life was going, like either originally with Scotty or on the last season with Marcus. Like she was always like, my life is perfect. We're so in love. I'm obsessed with him. I never want to go anywhere without him. And now she's like completely broken. Like she cries like 3 times on this episode just talking about it.
Yeah, she says that her kids even eventually, when her and Marcus broke up over like 4 times or over 3 times, she said they even said, "Get off the ride, Mom. This is really bad for you." So she's like, well, when your kids are saying that, like you listen a little bit more. And she said Marcus was a complete party animal. One of the biggest party animals that Miami has ever seen. He'll go to a club and he'll say, "I'm not leaving until the janitor starts cleaning up the shit all around me." So he'd be the last one in a club. And then they allude to the white powder that allegedly he snorts up his nose. It's called cocaine. And then she says that all that stuff, and then also in addition to that, there were cheating rumors flying around that she didn't want to address. But there's one that she acknowledges later was true that Julia called out, which is that he was grabbing someone's ass in Orlando. And so just all around, once she got out of the Marcus zone, she realizes what a bad partner he was. But they could have fooled me because the last however long she was in a relationship with Marcus, I was like, this is one of the best couples I've ever seen. But then now I go back and I'm like, I think Marcus just wanted to be on every show in the world. And so he would do every scene they asked him to do on Miami. And then he even wanted to do Traitors. I think he was possibly on talking about House of Villains. He just loved being on reality television. So maybe that's why falsely I thought he was such a supportive boyfriend and he was doing everything, but really he just loved that spotlight that he was getting.
Yeah, they had that wonderful podcast.
Oh, I think I looked it up. It was the least longest running podcast in history. I think it was 1.5 episodes.
It sounded, from what I could see, it looked even worse than Meredith and Seth's podcast, where I was
Yep.
like, what is the content of this?
Meredith and Seth's, called Hanging On by a Little Thread, was 4 episodes. Unfortunately, Larsa and Marcus's was, I think, 2 total. So the shortest running Bravo podcast in history. It didn't last very long at all.
Okay. This is just a side note. It might come up again, so I'll say it. But Lisa in the background is having like family issues. Her dad had a stroke and is on a ventilator. And I guess she had just sort of reconciled with him and he finally met her daughter. So like her, up until like her mom finally came on last season, her whole background was kind of a mystery. Like I didn't even realize she was Canadian. She like didn't really talk about her family much. It was always about like Lenny's parents. So she's starting to open up in that regard, which I think is good.
Sounds like it was sort of a chaotic, upbringing. Like she had to leave the house at 16 because she didn't want anything to do with her family anymore. Larsa does say at the end of her conversation, she does say that this is why I'm so upset with Lisa because I thought she was a friend, and this shit with Marcus is so awful. So it's kind of those scenes in tandem. Then we get kind of a fun yacht scene. I don't know how fun the scene was, but we get to go on a yacht as viewers, and it's Gertie meeting up with Kiki, and Adriana will join later. And Gertie gives the update on her cancer, and she says that you're never going to hear the word cancer come out of my mouth after me just saying it now, that she had cancer. She talks about 6 surgeries, chemo, radiation, and that she's now kind of dealing with just the aftermath of that with her husband. That there's probably some residual effects of going through such stress and sadness over that. But now she's kind of ready, I think, to turn a new leaf, and she's feeling healthy.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of like a bummer that it started out with her being shut out a little bit. I was like, I want her to like be, able to celebrate. But we also get to see Kiki again, who apparently used to date the owner of the Miami Beach Yacht Club, and he still lets her use his yacht. So that's where they are. And
she's allowed to go on any yacht at night when they leave their keys. If any yacht owner is not in their yacht, she can go to any yacht in the yard, which is amazing if you're dating the Miami yacht owner. And then Adriana comes in. And Adriana is dating a 6'4" French guy. And they all say, you certainly have a type. Frederick was French. Adriana hit on Roman, and he was French.
In the first season, 3 of them are dating Frenchmen.
Yes. Yeah, so, and then she goes, I like my men like I like my coffee, French roast, tall, dark, and delicious. And that's kind of Adriana's first quote that comes out of her mouth on the premiere, which I kind of liked. I've never heard. I've heard I like my men like I like my like that kind of phrasing before, but not French roast. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Have you?
I don't think so. I just remember that when Marisol, the guy she marries in the first season, he was French, and she was literally already married to him. So Elsa should have known his name and been very well acquainted with him. But she just was like, how are things with the Frenchman?
There was
he was
something.
literally her husband, and she called him the Frenchman.
There's something going on with that one. There was something odd about that marriage, I would say.
Yeah, even whatever is happening now, she married her current husband in like an ayahuasca like a ceremony in Mexico, and then in Scotland, and then it looks like they're gonna get married this season in America, but we'll see.
They are.
She's like we're making it official in the preview.
Wow. They got married at the Trader's Mansion.
It looked like it.
I think that both Adriana and Joanna's weddings were fake in season 3 of Miami. I think both were.
Jimmy was like picking apart the like sun, because the timeline they kept saying like she's 3 hours late or whatever, and he was like, is it like why is the sun still out or whatever? But then I feel like the daytime stuff was exaggerated, but the nighttime stuff, at one point you see Lenny's phone and it really is 11 p.m. and they haven't eaten yet.
Yeah. I have felt like Lenny before in that scenario where you're just so tired that you have no energy and you can't do anything. So I related to him so much in that moment of just like, I have to leave. Let me leave. Get me out of here. But I think that both of them were for the season completely. Joanna's too, which I don't know if people talk about that, but Joanna seemed really fake as well. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Marisol, but I'm excited to see her wedding to this guy that I've barely met. That's kind of
right
on the background. What's his name? Scott?
That sounds right. He doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Okay, then we get an Alexia Larsa scene. Alexia reiterates that she is not single. Larsa's like, you need to keep your guard up. If he did something like that to you, it could happen again. She says that she's walking on eggshells because they're just not talking about the divorce. She's afraid they'll fight again, and so they're just kind of existing, but they haven't talked about next steps.
What does that mean, that they haven't talked about when he divorced her and moved out in the dead of night? Like, how that's the only thing I could talk about for hours and hours. It's the one thing that they have to
it's kind
address.
Of pathetic that she's scared to say something to him about that. Like, I feel bad for her. Obviously, something's very wrong.
Yes, but is there any world in which you think that Alexia is not giving us all the details of the motivation for why Todd left? Like he just blindsided her for no reason and left all that chaos behind and then got back to her. Like, you don't think there's any like rationale for why he divorced her?
Well, hopefully it will unfurl, because right now we have no information. That was, I mean, I guess with Lenny, at least it was that he was cheating. So that was his impetus, you know?
Todd has never cheated. He's never cheated. Alexia says to Lars, you already said this, but she says, you're not single if your heart is not single, which I have never heard that before. And Lars is kind of rolling her eyes because she's like, he's going to think he can get away with that again. You need to, protect your heart. And then they reference, again, Larsa talks about the paparazzi stuff, which we already mentioned, where Marcus was grabbing someone's ass in a photo in Orlando. And then they get into the stuff we already mentioned too, which is Marcus sends threatening messages to all of her friends saying Larsa's a piece of shit. And really, she shows some of the messages, and they are awful. It's like kind of bordering on the weird Jack shit that we've been talking about in the Valley, where it's like he lost control, he's spiraling out, he's being mean and vindictive. She has to block him. Like, it's just all very, very toxic behavior from Marcus.
For sure. Okay, now we can cruise over to Jody's party. I keep wanting to call him Jordy. You
can call him Jordy.
I'm just going to change his name. Was this another Jersey connection? Didn't they do the bone marrow luge on New Jersey?
Thank God you said something, because I had to say it. Yes, they on New Jersey, they had the same thing. So this is Jody's big party. They have the Meat Made Me Do It wall. It's the exact same Meat Made Me Do It in big, what's that kind of sign? Neon sign. And they had the exact same thing where you can pour shots down a bone marrow, big piece of meat. And then it made me think of Joe Fuda, when Joe Fuda got that splinter of bone marrow in his throat, and the emergency, I think that an ambulance had to come and resuscitate him because he was having anaphylactic shock or something. And I go, oh my God, I cannot believe we're seeing these meat bone marrow shots. I got so worried, because of what happened to Joe. I was thinking, like, what were the odds that if like Teresa, was invited to this, and then she had a +1 and she invited Joe Fuda to this, and he goes, Oh my
No.
God, I'm not going anywhere near those bone marrow shots.
Yeah.
What
Uh,
about this party though?
yeah, it kind of low energy, kind of just like a chat party. Like everyone's just kind of sitting around.
Yeah, it gave it was a completely fake all cast party only made for the benefit of this show for them to all get in the room together. Jody, she disobeyed his wishes completely. He has two friends there and all of the other cast members of it. And I gotta be frank, if you'll let me, I didn't think it looked old Hollywood at all.
No.
Like you gotta have photos of Audrey Hepburn. Like people
Yeah.
should have been dressed in old Hollywood gowns and stuff, gowns and old Hollywood suits. And this, it just was a bunch of like flowers and disco balls. And I didn't, I swear that I didn't think it was Jody's birthday for the first 10 seconds until I saw those signs. I was like, this is his birthday?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like anything he would enjoy.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, not the best planner. Maybe Lenny was the one that normally did it.
And Larsa does accuse it of being a fake party. And when she starts to get really pissed, when she's accused of being fake later in the scene, she goes, well, you only call me when you want us to go to your piece of shit fake parties.
Yes.
Pretend like saying that this is a fake one.
Yes.
Lisa does do that. She does a vodka shot through that bone marrow.
Yes.
And then Adriana shows up really early before everyone. They kind of have staggered call times a little bit until everybody ends up showing up. And Adriana's got the French guy.
Yeah.
with
Apparently
her.
he's a marquis. That's the first. So we have a countess, a princess, and a marquis.
Oh my God, could you imagine if they all got in a room together, the kind of stories they would tell? Aristocracy in France,
Yeah.
right? Wow. Yeah, he's 6'4", and Adriana says, I like this. She goes, I walked in with a 6'4" piece of meat and everybody got hungry, baby. I really like that. And then the entire time, I'll just say it now, she's trying to show everyone how hot her marquis is, how sexual they are together. She says, I want to have sex right now in Jody's bedroom if you'll let me. I want to have sex 7 times a day. And then they spend the entire party making out to the point where Adriana doesn't participate in any scenes for the rest of
Yeah.
this party.
Yeah, she's like counting in French how many times they'll have sex. I remember she got in a fight with Romain in the club in an early season, and he's like, you really shouldn't speak French. You sound like shit. He said that her French was ass.
Oh, did I say Roman and it's Romaine?
Uh, well, I think they
It's
say Roman.
Oh God! Oh my God! We have to edit what I just said. I forget. It's Romaine for sure. Oh
But
my
I think
God!
what's her name?
Joanna calls him.
I feel like she says Roman.
Me too.
So, whatever.
That's why. Okay,
He's not
well,
on the show anymore.
all right. Well, little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, permit me to make a mistake about Roman's name. I'm calling him Roman. I like when Lisa goes, Jody's got a hot friend. He's also 6'4". A lot of 6'4" guys are in here. She points to Alexia to say, like, go get on this 6'4" guy. And Alexia goes, I'm married.
Also, the guy she showed like had a chin implant and looked so weird. I was like, why do all these guys have so much plastic surgery? And she's like, he's hot, hot, hot.
Also, no offense to these guys because I loved all of them. I think they're all great, but I think they're all part of the dyed hair club. Because
Yeah.
Jody, I think, no offense to him. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm going to dye my hair when I start to go gray, but it's much darker than his beard and stuff. And then when his 2 other friends came in, I go, you all have the same dyed hair coming in. I couldn't believe, what are the odds that 3 people all have the same kind of colored dyed hair?
Yeah. I was sort of thinking that Jody had a little bit of a friend of Dorothy vibe. And then I feel like they are maybe implying such, right?
Oh no. Oh. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it now. Okay. Let's talk about it now. So at a certain point, Jody goes, I want to take a shot. Are you talking about this scene?
Yeah.
I want to take a shot, and then I need to get my hands on a big dose of AC. And then the friend goes, I need some AC as well. Where the hell do you keep all of that AC? And he goes, it's in my room. Let's go get a shot and then go rip some AC, a big thing of AC in this room.
Right.
And then later they go, where's Jody? And Jody goes, this AC is really good in here. Isn't it really good? And my first thought was that him and his friend were ripping big
Pasta.
lines of Coke, allegedly, no offense, but I thought that AC was code for doing big lines of Coke in your bedroom off camera, and
Yeah.
he's not so experienced with these shows. He would never think it would make it to the final cut, but they left it in, and I think that casual Coke use like that was one of the more interesting parts of this episode. If it's something else, and you all think it's something else, let me know. But I thought
makes sense.
I thought AC meant that's a code word, and I'm going to be listening for. I need a big thing of AC for the rest of this season if that's the code word, but they didn't think production caught on to
Did
it.
he learn nothing from Lenny's hot mic?
Oh yeah. Oh, remind me. That actually didn't flash a memory to me. What did Lenny do on his
At
mic?
one of Lisa's parties, Lenny is like not hanging out with the group and he's talking to a friend, and they sort of covertly find him being like, his friend is like, I'm going through a divorce, and he goes, I will be pretty soon too. And he's like, aren't you being recorded? And he goes, why do you think I'm whispering?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, Lenny was so checked out in those that final season. He couldn't stand Lisa anymore. I forgot about that hot mic moment, but then you just brought it back into my life. So I thought that. Did you think anything else that
I
AC?
think I had just already been thinking something else, so my brain automatically went to that, but yours makes more sense.
I really thought that we got a new on the ground floor of a new code word for cocaine, and that's what I'm standing by. If somebody else thought something else, let me know. But I think that we might have we got some discrete footage of someone partaking in cocaine.
I think Lenny in the divorce accused Lisa of doing such things. So.
It's very much an undercurrent of a lot of the seasons. Joanna threatens to say it at some point. I forget, maybe in season 3. Mm-hmm. I think that there's always been whispers that a few specks of cocaine might have, every once in a while, accidentally gone up Lisa's nose.
Right. Okay, so then we get the face-off of Lisa and Larsa. At first, it seems like Lisa just wants to brush it under the rug. She's like, I didn't get your texts. I don't remember. Maybe I got them, but I don't remember. I actually don't know. And Larsa's like, are you drunk? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, all right, never mind. Like, I'll throw you a bone here. I don't want to deal with you right now.
And Larsa said that this very special happy birthday party for Jody, that she wasn't going to bring this stuff up. So I think that it was kind of, I don't know why it would at a blatant all cast event, but I feel like Lisa kind of wanted to set a rule that they wouldn't get into that. So this is maybe as far as Lisa thought it was going to go until it got much worse between them. But I kind of liked Lisa lying her ass off drunk to Larsa about not receiving a phone call. It's like such a funny thing to lie about. She's such a bad liar in that moment.
Totally. Larsa also lays down what I think will come up again later, that Jody is a kiss ass and was using Marcus for his last name. She says something later like, Marcus told me that Jody's cheap. Like he's like a tag along or something.
Yeah, trying to cast a wedge between Marcus and Jody, because once Jody hears that, they'll be pissed. I'd rather be friends with Jody than Marcus, Jordan. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say much on the show, so I never really could get a picture, and I was a little bit weirded out that he liked Larsa so much.
Marcus, really?
Because I was like, she seems weird.
Oh wow! Oh my god! I thought the exact opposite. I see all of the wonderful merit of Larsa, and I love.
She'll
this
never admit her
relationship.
BBL.
Till
her dying day.
Oh, so Adriana accused her of having a BBL, right? And
That's
Larsa never.
also one of my favorite Adriana moments is that she accuses Larsa of getting a BBL is as being appropriation because Adriana's the only one who's Brazilian. And so she's like, for me, I can get a Brazilian butt lift.
Yeah.
For everyone else, it is appropriation.
Yeah, I also like when Adriana keeps making fun of Larsa for being cast aside from the Kardashian friend group for like the full first season that Larsa's on the show. She really goes nuts
Yes,
about that.
which
Okay,
is true.
let's. Yeah, I know. She was cast aside. She did some. She like leaked some shit or something, and they were like, "You are never coming back into the sacred
Ousted.
Kardashian." I watched the Kardashian episode where they go to Joshua Tree for the first time. Did you watch that?
Yeah, and Chris ditches them.
Yeah.
They go on that show when they go on trips, they only go anywhere for like 24 to 48 hours. Like they
Yeah.
don't have time to do anything.
It's the most like claustrophobic show I've ever seen. I don't watch it very
Yeah.
often, but whenever I see it, it's like you guys are too famous that you can't do anything in the world. So all your scenes are basically like in a house or in a big warehouse. Like you can't interact with the outside world at all in any way. At least
Yeah.
in this iteration. Okay, we can brush over Martina and Gertie. Gertie gets a cold hello from Martina because Martina's
Yeah.
only heard what Julia said, and Gertie really feels like she is being brushed aside in this friend group. It never gets resolved. At one point, she just says to everyone, she goes, "I feel like I did something wrong here. No one's being nice to me." And my thoughts are, I'll be honest, after the Gertie, I think that I thought that Gertie might possibly have not been back for another season, in my opinion. So I feel like maybe the other cast members are kind of treating Gertie like she's wearing out her welcome. And so I kind of understood why the dynamics had shifted away from Gertie at this point.
Okay.
Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious what like any comments on any of this will be because I haven't followed any crowd sentiment on anyone this whole time, so I have no idea where popularity falls at all.
Me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither. And that's why I'm being so outspoken until the wrath comes down on me for all of these takes, because I'm just going to be fully honest until I know what the internet thinks, and then
Yeah.
I probably, hopefully, will still not change my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I
Sorry,
will
go
say
ahead.
is that Andy fucking hates Larsa.
I know. And I don't, I'm normally, I understand fully why Andy hates people. And I remember his disdain for Larsa, but I don't get it with Larsa. I don't know she did make a horrible comment, which you reminded me of, that Andy was like, that's one of the worst things I've ever heard. So I don't, well, obviously that's indefensible, but maybe he just never forgave her
She
for
was
that.
playing dumb about when she told Julia that she had her kids out of wedlock. And she
Yeah.
was like, I wasn't saying it with judgment. It's just a fact. And Andy looks in her face with gritted teeth and goes, it's an asshole thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've like never seen him talk like I was like, he really like fucking can't stand her.
Yeah, no, I remember that moment when you said that to me, and yeah, I mean that obviously struck him very harshly, and he, I don't know if that means that he's ever gotten over that, or if he still views Larsa that way, and that's an awful thing that she said. So I don't, when I keep saying that I love Larsa so much, don't think that I remember that. Okay.
He seemed a little short with her even at the season 6 reunion, but not as much as
Maybe,
before.
maybe she's, which you could imagine, some people like, we don't see it, but maybe they're like nightmares to production, and Andy
She
knows.
definitely falls in that category, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And so Andy sometimes can't let his disdain not show when he knows how awful they are to like get things going and stuff like an example of this is Joanna Krupa on season 3 reunion when she has her makeup artist start screaming at Lisa for some old grudge or whatever, and Joanna goes, I'm leaving if my makeup artist doesn't get to stay and scream at Lisa at the top of his lungs for the next half hour. I was like, oh, Joanna seems pretty difficult to deal with on production. That's kind of a odd ultimatum to give. So maybe Andy is like taking some of that into account. Okay, final stretch of the episode is Lisa versus Larsa. Lisa's sitting on the couch, and Lisa goes, I feel great. I'm celebrating life. And Larsa goes, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "I just feel so good. I love my life. I'm having the time of my life here. It's Jody's birthday." And then Larsa goes, "Well, you should probably remember when things weren't so good and when you relied on your friends. You should check in on your friends. Like when you were going through all that Lenny shit, I was there for you, and now you're not really being loyal to me during this Marcus thing." So immediately it goes from probably something that Lisa didn't think they were going to talk about to immediately Larsa goes in with her biggest grudge against Lisa within 1 second.
Yes. Lisa immediately is defending that her divorce was a bigger deal with the kids and everything than Larsa's breakup. And then this is where she's like, "You guys broke up so many times. Like Jody and I left a real party for your fake breakup." And she goes, "That was not a fake breakup. You're a fake bitch to say that." And Lisa, she has certain boundaries, and once you cross a line, she's like, "You really do need to leave."
Yeah. I love her. I love her boundaries. That was too much for her, being called a bitch in her house, especially when maybe she specifically asked not to talk about this. And the way Lisa talks about the fake breakup, I trust Lisa. For the most part. And at one point, like, she's matter of factly, Larsa goes, "I can't believe you would accuse me of having a fake breakup. He lived with me and blah, blah." And Lisa goes, "The first one was fake. I mean," and I think that she knows more than we know. And she was just willing to air that out, on camera, that Larsa used to use breakups with Marcus for publicity. And then Gertie backs Lisa up in the confessional. She goes, she's got TMZ on speed dial. They were doing that to create fodder for tabloid journalism, to keep their names out in the press.
Yes, which I buy. Larsa, again, quite upset. She cries in the bathroom. I thought she was going to leave, but she didn't leave. She comes out, she comes back. She says that Lisa's always a victim who lives in Lisa land. And she's super pissed. She keeps calling her stupid. And Lisa says again, "Get out. The whole world knows who you are. Get out." And I think, what is it? Larsa says something else, like she's drunk and stupid or something like that.
She goes, she's always drunk, she's always stupid, and she's a total bitch. And it's like, damn, this is when I was like, oh wow, Larsa cares about her friendship with Lisa much more than Lisa does at this point, because Lisa's willing to kick her out and ruin their friendship. And Larsa seems like one of the most times that I've seen her upset, like a degree of upset that I've never seen, which Kiki acknowledges as well, that she's like losing a friend. At one point, Lisa goes, "There's the door, Shannon Bedore," which I didn't understand why she would do that at all. And then Larsa comes back, and then Lisa again says, "You need to leave," because Larsa starts firing it up again. And then Marisol and Alexia and Adriana all acknowledge that this is a really awful thing that they would never do, is kick someone out of a party, and that they can't believe Lisa's doing this. So they're all on Larsa's side, and Lisa stands firm in her decision to kick Larsa out.
Yeah. Yep. And then they're like, "Happy birthday, Jody."
Yeah, a saxophonist comes out and starts blasting the happy birthday song, and you could tell that the editors were loving it, because they can finally use the "Happy Birthday to You" song without any copyright infringement. So they have the entire end of the premiere go to the theme of "Happy Birthday to You" with a saxophone blaring, which was kind of a fun way to end.
Yes. And yeah, it looks like we're going to get a lot of trips this season. They go to Spain, they go to Milan, they go on a cruise, which I'm like, is that a first? A cruise?
Oh my God. Jersey. Oh my God. Jersey, I think, goes on a cruise to get to Italy for maybe one day. And then they can't arrive in one day. I don't know how they did that. But I think there's a cruise for Jersey to get to one of their first Italy trips, like in the early era. But that's the only time I can even get a blip of remembering something like that. But definitely not a lot of times this happens.
Cool. Yeah, and there's going to be a new chick, Stephanie, who apparently dated Nicole's baby daddy. And it looks like she's mega wealthy, has a jet, and I'm intrigued.
Me too. Dr. Nicole has to like introduce her replacement.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Dr. Nicole
Yeah.
says, "I'm not on the show anymore, but my friend is going to be really great. And then they show all the scenes where her friend is going to basically take her spot.
Apparently, Dr. Nicole has a podcast with Tiffany Moon from Dallas, who's also a doctor. And
Wow.
I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. She's a real anesthesiologist, unlike Anna Marie, nurse anesthetist, weirdo person who
Oh,
keeps
right.
coming up in the news.
Oh,
She
right.
said that Beverly Hills was satanic.
I saw. I know. I saw. I
She's
mean,
losing it.
at least she didn't like try to sue Bravo or something.
She probably
After
still
her.
will.
That's not great. I hadn't seen that Anna Marie news. Okay, well, yeah. So this season of Miami looked great. I think that there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. All of those wonderful trips, and I thought this was a good premiere. Some stuff that I didn't really care about happened, but mainly it was just nice to be in this universe again with all of these cast members. I thought that
Yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah. It was exciting to see. I was like, I watched it all in such short timeline, and then I was like, well, in the very first episode, there's like a divorce scandal immediately. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, well, anything else to say about Miami before we close the chapter on this premiere, and then you and I are gonna, we're gonna have an evergreen episode, next week, and then maybe unlock a Patreon or something next week. So we're
Yes.
kind of gonna be away from the topical stuff for a week. So anything you want to say before we segue out of this episode?
No, ta-ta. I will be abroad, but continue. If anything comes up, let us know online, and we'll talk about it when we're back.
Yes, please. And I would say I hope that we don't miss any news for the next week and a half. I don't think we will. But if not, if we do miss a couple little news items, we'll be back and we'll do a huge news, roundup of the biggest stuff that we missed. But thank you all so much for listening to Turtle Time. If you enjoyed this episode, please, we referenced this old Hollywood party on Vanderpump Rules that we recapped. I think that's coming out on Monday, that episode. And if you ever want to listen to a Vanderpump Rules recap series that Amy and I conduct, that is available for $5 if you're a Villa Rosa VIP, $5 a month, and you get access to over 100 episodes of our recap series of Vanderpump Rules, and you get to be a cherished Villa Rosa VIP who we love more than life itself, and who they can comment on anything, and we read all of their comments, and we love it, and they can vote on stuff there, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful Turtle Time community.
We love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then please, for the love of God, give us an Apple review. I've been looking, I refresh Apple Podcasts like once a day, once every 2 days, and I haven't seen a new review come in 4 days. Please, we need new reviews and Spotify comments and YouTube. Please go nuts for Amy and I, please, because that's how
Yeah.
we get the word out.
Go pop off. Ta-ta for now. We'll have content for you, but my consciousness won't return for 10 days or so.
Yes, you'll hear some outdated stuff. And also I want to tee it up. I don't know if we ever fully said it. It'll be a surprise, but next week we're going to our evergreen content is going to be Turtle Time Trip, where we recap the Roni trip to Morocco. I forget. We might have already said that, but that's going to be fun. And Amy and I had so much fun talking about Morocco and dipping back into the Roni universe. So hopefully you like that episode and it tides you over until Turtle Time is back.
Yes.
All right.
Now it's time to go.
Goodbye.
Bye.